Welcome back for another episode of the Dope Stroke Podcast Show. Once again and on time, we've got Chris Trott and Chris Ryan, and we're going to talk all things golf once again. But first and foremost, boys, all good? What's been going on? What happened over the weekend for you guys?
Not a lot for me, mate. It was a weekend of the boys had a football match on Saturday, which is the highlight of my week. But it was right smack bang in the middle of the day. So by the time we got up, we got them to the game. They played, we got back, we showered them because they were filthy because it's muddy here in the UK. That was pretty much our Saturday. But we want to talk about golf, but it was good because my boys have got a really good team this year. It's their first year and they've only lost to one team all year. And it was a team we were playing on Saturdays. They've played them twice, lost twice. And I think like the parents want them to win more than the kids do. So all week I was talking to my boys. I was like, come on, boys, you got this, you got this. And they beat them. They beat them 6-5. So it was a little bit of a revenge. They were our like nemesis team. And honestly, my boys were like so happy. Like Grayson, my one son, he was subbed off at the end. He played all game. He was off at the end. And he was pumping the air and he was fist pumping and he was running down the touchline. It was like brilliant. So yeah, that was my Saturday. Good times.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's good.
We had Soccer Gate as always. So two football games. Both days. Saturday night games are tough with the kids at the age that my kids are at. Just flipping hard work. You got all day to occupy them. Then they go to a football game. Kids did well. I mean, mate, we're talking like Tony Yeboah type goal from J-Man, and it got disallowed. No chance. Goal line. It was like the boys not even in position. He's like, yeah, that didn't cross the line. Cross the line, you twat. Chill.
Oh, off the underside of the bar and down.
Yeah, ridiculous. Cut inside, left peg, have it. Boom. And I was like, I'm a chill fan now. I'm a chill parent. I've gone through the
Don't buy that.
Idiot. Nah, mate, I am. You'd be impressed with me.
I don't buy that either.
You'd be impressed with me. So I was like, yeah, fair
you.
dues. Anyway, then someone got the follow-up, whatever. And then they had a breakout where he scored as well. And the guy's like, offside. Wasn't offside. And then they played again yesterday. That was great. But I'm going to get into what the nemesis of the weekend was. Like, I've got a golf thing next week at the golf club. Really looking forward to it. Going to try and play this week. First off, Monday today, golf club closed. I know you said this happens in South Africa. I can't get my head around why golf clubs close for a maintenance day. I think it's absolutely... I want to petition that this is complete and utter BS. Because I've had a meeting cancel. I was meant to be in a meeting all day today. It's cancelled on Thursday. No issue. Like a normal thing. Someone's got some family problems. I hope the people I were meeting with, I hope everything's good. Can't be avoided. But now I've got a whole day. And all I've got to do is scan one document and do a form. That's going to take me all of 30 minutes. Then I've got literally 7.5 hours where I could dive into some other crap. But it's like, no, I've got the day back. I'll do something I want to do. Golf course closed. Get out of my face. What are you doing? I might just sneak on my own golf course today. I might, with a bag of balls. I really might do that.
I quite like the fact that the course closed on Monday. You know, get the course looking in good shape and everything like that. And no, I'm all right with it. I'm actually all right with it.
It's not every Monday, is it? Is it just a random Monday?
Every Monday, and then
every Monday.
And they throw on events every now and again and stuff like that. Which I understand that to make revenue at the club. I'm not pissed about that, but I think there might be a college event today, so I might just go and poke my head around and hit a few pots. I don't know what I'm going to do. Might go the Kingdom. We'll figure it out.
It's good news then that you are the most well-connected man in San Diego, isn't it? Because I'm sure you've got plenty of people you can call on and be like, let me get some balls at your range.
I think I'm going to figure that out. But let me tell you exactly truly what happened about middle-age crisis life where I'm at right now. So we played football yesterday. Or we didn't play. My son played, we watched, we finished. We drive back up. It's lunchtime. He had a nice weekend, got through what was a tough weekend. He got 2 wins, and he's just got a new mountain bike, so he wants to get one of the bike holders. Simple repair. Simple. This is not like unscrew 2 screws, put the water bottle thing in, screw it back up. No problem. Is that a problem for Trotty? Of course it's a freaking problem, isn't it? So the top screw comes up, obviously with the wrong Allen key. Yeah, I mean, let's just start there. I am your man when it comes to I don't have the right tools. So, of course, I ain't got the right tools. But do you stop? No, lid. You proceed. Get the top one out. No worries. Bottom one, simple little 2-screw turn. No. It's the tightest, filler screw in the history of screws. So, anyway, I ended up going around to my neighbour's house, who's an absolute swordsman with the tools. And we ended up with this, he was pumped because he was getting out this special, we had to try and put a notch now in the actual Allen key. Ended up being a nemesis. Can't get the thing out. I'm back to the shop this morning to fix the bike. So that is actually what I'm doing. Just to get a screw out so I can put a water holder on a kid's bike. Ridiculous.
Well, I guess just as well the golf course is closed, because now you can go and do that, can't you?
I'll be a good parent. But all I'm saying is you just look at it. And, my son they're at the age now, my kids, where they're almost like teenagers. They watch a bit of TV that's got bad language in it and stuff. And I just looked at him and I just went, "You're such a bike wanker." As I was like, doing this shit, losing my head, and I just went, "You're such a bike wanker." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, just nothing."
I'm trying to think what bad language they're exposed to more, the TV or just generally being around you in the garage.
It's horrendous. Language is horrendous in this house. Shocking. Shell throws it around. It's just shocking. I don't know the rules on that. But we're not here to cover parenting guidance, are we? We're here to cover tournaments. So, McD, I believe you sat down and watched the Arnold Palmer all weekend, didn't you?
That was a bus, but I'm thrown under the bus there. No, I didn't actually get to watch, unfortunately, any golf other than just watching a little bit of the leaderboard stuff. I was tracking a little bit on the Joburg Open, actually, because our guy Adrian Otegi finished 6th there. So shout out to the boy. That's 2 top 10s in 2 weeks in a row, actually, in a part of the world that. Can anyone else hear the words Quaker? Where's Quaker and the rubbing team come from?
That must be on your laptop. I can't hear anything.
Hello. McD, we got a new sponsor. He's pushing Quaker Oats. He's pushing Quaker Oats. Look at how he did that. Seamless. So I'll take over as you push our new sponsor, everyone, Dope Stroke Podcast, Quaker Oats. Porridge that keeps you going through the podcast, unlike McD right now.
For anyone who's listening who can't see this, Daryl is looking like the most confused man on planet Earth right now.
But me and Bubsy will carry on.
All I can hear is Quaker.
Smooth.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to keep this seamless. All I can hear is beige is whatever.
So let me tell you this, Bubsy. Those tournaments that Ortega's gone and done well in and finished top 10 in 2 of them, that's what a proper pro does, on the European tour. Like DP World, my arse. On the European tour, that's what a proper tour player does. He drifts off and competes in events where no one goes. He'll have made probably 50 grand in 2 weeks. And that 50 grand could be the difference between keeping your card and losing your card. That is pro golf in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, you do a lot more traveling on the DP, don't you? You travel all over the globe, basically. Obviously, PJ Tours kind of confined to mostly in the US, but DP go all over, don't they? They go Australia, they go Dubai, they go Hong Kong, they go China, they go all over. So a lot of traveling there, and I guess you have to deal with a lot of time zones. And I guess as you're trying to make your living on the DP World Tour, you have to deal with all those time zones and those different climates. But
100%. I think the other thing, or getting on to like where we're at this week with the Arnold Palmer, I think what makes it hard is you've got these big events on the PGA Tour. Like the PGA Tour hits hard out the gate for 100%. Like the West Coast is glorified big. Then you go over and you play on Honda, which is now Cognizant or whatever they call it, where Shane finished poorly.
Yeah.
Then you have Arnold Palmer, and like that golf course and that venue, it's right in like the tourist area of Florida. So it's busy, but the golf course is like, it's good for Florida. Like Florida's very flat and it's good. And the venue's good and the history's good. And it's only going to get better because Arnie is a legend and he's still very much like present in the game, even though he's passed away now. But the big names play it. The cardie that you win for it is huge. The greens were nearly dead. The course is quite penal, not as tough as last week's one. But I just think like a venue like that and the swag, mate. Like if you get to go to an event over the next 5 years, and Arnold Palmer is one of them, the swag is off the charts. And you can wear, like I've got this, I should have worn it. I got this yellow Arnold Palmer. This is the second opportunity where I've missed to wear this hat this weekend. So Friday, went up to the golf club again, and one of my mates is wearing a pink Arnold Palmer hat. Legit. This man is an alpha male, doesn't wear much pink, and he's rocking a pink Arnold Palmer hat. Trotty's got this like light yellow Arnold Palmer hat. It's the bomb. But in America, as Daryl's story from a few weeks goes by about the roadies hats, they love a hat. And I know you're coming over soon, so we're going to get you a lot of hats, Bubsy. And basically, I've got a cupboard full of hats. And in there, deep is the Arnold Palmer one. But it only comes out. My man says to me on Friday, I said, nice hat. He says, only comes out once a year. To which I'm obviously sat there knowing that Friday is the only time I'm playing golf this weekend during the Arnold Palmer, and I've left my yellow Arnie Palmy hat in the cupboard. So now that Arnie Palmy hat's got to sit for another year without me rocking it out. But maybe when you get here, mate, I'm going to bring it out just because of this story now.
I'd love to see it. And I mean, look, he is, we've got a few legends in our game, and that word does get thrown around a bit, but he is an absolute legend. And I'm sure he would like to be known for what he did in the game of golf, the majors that he won, the course and the tournament that he's now got. And I think he should be known for all that. But I want to bring it back to something that I had January on the golf course was an Arnold Palmer drink. Let's talk about that, boys, because that thing was amazing. There was iced tea and lemonade. Yeah. I mean, so that was the greatest thing that's ever passed my lips. That's his biggest legacy.
Legacy. The greatest thing that's ever passed your lips.
we could go many. Get past them turkey teeth. Let's just cover that. Back up a minute, because I was just about to take it where you've taken it. So this is like me and you were vibing now on this podcast, Bubsy. Let me talk to you now about Arnie Palmies, the drink, because I think in the UK, I'm right to think, aren't I? Like, iced tea is not really a beverage, and Arnold Palmer, a beverage, isn't a drink in the UK, is it?
No.
Not really, no.
It is the drink at the golf courses here. You probably didn't see that MasterCard advert from like probably the 2000s or the 90s. It must be the 2000s, where Arnold Palmer walks into a cafeteria and they've got they've got one of iced tea and one of like cloudy lemonade. You can't put your 7-Up in there. And it's like pretty famous. So if you go to any golf club and you ask for an Arnold Palmer, they're cracking that thing out for you. It's in all the sandwich shops. And then there's a variance of it. And I don't want to get there too quickly because we want Daryl's take now. He's back on Arnie Palmies. But there's a John Daly where they add liquor to it as well. But yeah, I mean, McD, you've experienced the Arnie Palmies, haven't you, lad?
Oh, I'm a fan. I'm a convert. Yeah, I like it. But then I feel like I've also known about it for quite a period of time, having gone back and forth to the States over the best part of a couple of decades here. So, but I'm more familiar with it now than ever before. And obviously there's a John Daly take on that, which is the same, but like you say, with a little bit of alcohol in there as well. So yeah, mate, I'm a convert. I think that's the go-to drink. If you're not going to have that on a golf course, you're going to have a beer or a John Daly. That's it. What else is there to have?
As we are entering into, it must be close to our like 80th, 90th show on this podcast. I think we're getting pretty professional now. So that is an amazing segue. Talking about John Daly, because did you see his son got his first PGA Tour start in the Puerto Rico Open, and going into the last round, I wouldn't say he was contending. I mean, there was a few social media posts saying little John Daly can win his first event. He was never probably going to win it because he was a few back, and he actually fell away on the Sunday to finish quite a long way down. But he looks like he could be pretty good. I don't really know what his route was to get in that event, whether it was an invite or whether he's qualified or what, but it was good to see him.
I mean, I'll dive in here. I don't know his route either, but I do have some little John stories. So, good mate of mine, great guy. Well, and the people that follow me on social media will have seen a lot of this early days. But Wade Lyles, bloke who runs the truck for TaylorMade on a PGA Tour, he's getting a bit older now, but obviously done the job out there for 30 years. And John Daly was a TaylorMade user for a lot of that time and became, in the trucks and trailers all the time. So little John was, I mean, he looks the same as John and certainly did when he was younger. And he would hang out on the trailers a lot, like literally come to the golf courses. Don't know if he was homeschooled, but like his childhood was on the PGA trailers. Could you imagine that? So Wade used to joke that he was raising little John. He's like, oh, little John's bit, and him and little John are like mates. And they'd sit down on the truck at the TaylorMade as Dad was off playing golf. He'd stay with him all day, to the point where Wade would be like, listen, JD, little John, I've got to do some work, mate. Like I can't sit and chat to you all day. I got to get on with stuff. But they were boys. And you would often wonder, how would this kid turn out? So I went to Streamsong about 4 years ago for an AJGA event, which is American Junior Golf Association event. And it was one of the final events for these kids to perform to get into college. And I think little John was already in college. Stream Song's in Florida, on the west coast of Florida. So the weather, it's a pocket that gets tough weather. And it's rainstorm. I've gone in for 24 hours, flown all the way there, sat at the bar the night before with a Texan couple whose son was playing in the event. And it was those two. There's only one hotel. It's quite expensive, golf resorty. And I was having a drink with this family, with the dad and the mum. And obviously, you know, as I was 4 years ago, so my kids were younger, but we were talking about like the cost of the AJGA events and the travel and how they're treating this as a vacation coming down to Florida. And the daughters come, and I'm like, wow, piecing it all together. Really nice people. Next day comes, rain delay. Rain delay turns into lightning, turns into, I think we were meant to have Dustin Johnson fly in. He cancelled. So then they're like, well, Trotty, you're here. I was going to MC an event with Dustin and like help Dustin get through and get the kids up. And, you know, they used me to sort of oil the wheels a bit, drop TaylorMade in so it doesn't look so forced for Dustin, thank everyone there, get Dustin either hit shots or bring a kid up and work. And they're like, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to clear all the tables in the gala room and we're going to do some form of competition. And I was like, 100%. Like, you got all these kids. It's like 60 kids, 70 kids. Let's do something so we can give away some stuff. Either an indoor chipping comp around the freaking clubhouse or a putting comp. And we ended up doing like a putting competition closest to a TaylorMade marker from 80 feet, wins whatever. And Little John was one of the best young men I've like ever met. He was so polite. He's like, I remember you from your Wade's buddy from back in the day. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, you guys were brilliant with me. And I mean, this kid was so confident as a kid, running around these trailers, going straight past the security barrier, in, grabbing shafts, cutting them. And Wade's like, dude. But he turned into such a nice young lad, like proper young lad, to the point where, you know, there's flipping 50, like I say, 17, 18-year-old kids. They're going nuts. And I had to say to him, Little John, do me a favor. Get all your mates organized so we can get this thing rolling. Because like it's like herding cats here. And just to sort of say, like, I think people maybe wouldn't paint that picture together. And they might think it's a bit chaotic because obviously he had quite a unique childhood. But I think Wade and John, between them, did a fantastic job of raising Little John. Because Little John is such a nice lad. So it's not really a funny story, but it's a backstory. And the fact that he's gone out and he plays so fearless. And he's, you know, wears his heart on his sleeve. And I did see he played. I'm not surprised. I think he'll do a lot more with it. And I think he deserves it. He's a cracking player. They obviously do really well in the father-son thing every year. Great player, great lad, fearless golfer, bombs driver everywhere. And I think that's the beauty of youth and junior golf. I'm sorry that was a long-winded story, but Quaker Oats put me through it.
Quaker Oats, yeah. Looking at the amateur world rankings, he's ranked 54 in the world right now, which, you know, if you're familiar with amateur world ranking wise, if you're inside that top 100 of the world rankings, you are a really, really good player as an amateur golfer. Just because you might be ranked 100th doesn't mean that you're not as good or better than maybe someone that might be 20th in those rankings. A lot of it is down to the types of tournaments and the location of those events. So the fact that he's trending inside that top 100 and comfortably so would definitely suggest that he is a good player outright, you know, in his on merit for his own ability, etc. So I think fair play to the lad. You know, he's done a good job. He's got where he's got. Let's see what he can do from here on in, you know, but you got to say, good player.
So that must have been an invite then.
I would say most likely an invite. Yeah. Amateurs are almost always invites, but you can qualify for different things. Obviously, if you win the US Amateur, for example, you get to play at Augusta and all the other majors. But the chances are if you're an amateur golfer and you haven't won a major amateur event like that, you're probably there on invite.
Mm. So bringing it back to the Bay Hill, we'll touch a little bit more on, I guess, the winners and how it was won and that kind of stuff. But you boys might have noticed that DP World Tour winner, is it Dan Bradbury?
Dan Bradbury, yeah.
And Akshay, both broom handles.
There you go.
So was it last podcast, the one before, talking about putting and how putting's changed? So this week, I know John Rahm won on Live and John is conventional, I think, but DP World Tour, PGA Tour, both broom handles.
The strokes gained on Akshay on the green through 2.5 rounds was something like +6, you know.
16.
+16.
The tournament. Yeah, the highest. There was
for the tournament.
They reeled off three. I think it was 3 or 4 tournaments where it had been higher. But that was basically one of the. I don't think that was putting. I think that was putting and
Sure.
around the greens. Yeah, but
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's what I saw, yeah.
So he was in the first 2 rounds. He was. Don't quote me on the number, but he was something crazy like strokes gained 7 or 8. He'd hit 9 fairways in the first 2 rounds. I mean, he hadn't hit any greens, any fairways, and he was up near the top of the leaderboard. That will be. He will not have had a performance like that around the greens ever before. That was unbelievable. He won that tournament because of his short game.
Yeah, I saw some bunker shots on Saturday night here that he played. It's just so aggressive. It's like, obviously we touch on this decade stuff, and mate, he short-sided himself twice in 20 minutes. And I'm sort of looking at it going, I went out and played myself, and I'm like hitting it to 30 feet every hole, thinking that's the way I've got to play. And this kid's like, he's got 4-yard bunker shots, 6-yard bunker shots, like with 3 yards of green and just flipping like, and I'm like, God almighty, maybe I get this decade stuff, but then my short game isn't that good as Akshay's. The other thing I noticed, there was a post, and I searched on, people will have done this. This is how screwed up I am. I searched on Saturday night. There was a post that went out with him hitting putts down like this, what looked like 2 alignment sticks held in the air, and it had hold of the shaft plane. And I was like, what is that? Turns out it's Derek Ueda, the guy that made putting plates. Really like putting plates. And it's Derek Ueda's tool. And I think it's to keep the shaft plane and the lie angle the same so that the face angle doesn't move off much. Someone commented on it, another mate of mine is a teacher, about, and there we were thinking path wasn't that important with putting and it was all face. But my understanding from chatting again, and I'll name drop, but Jason Day, is that if the lie angle moves on your putter in your backswing, so say you've got your putter set up and it's at 69 degrees, so Dustin's 69, Jason's 70 degrees. So say the thing is 70 degrees and you move into the backswing and that lie angle moves to 68 because your hands are gone close to your body, you've gone a bit flatter. That can then manipulate the face plane tilt, which manipulates the face angle, which then sets it off on a poor angle. Obviously, I got thinking about this a lot. And that's when Wai Yang worked with him, and he would have the most upright putter he could have legally, like minus half a degree from the legal limit, to try and get rid of some of that movement in the plane. And then that's when I went to the long putter, still using it. I didn't putt very well recently, but still using it. And I think it stops you from manipulating the lie angle. So people have said, obviously, on this Derek Ueda product he's got coming, it's to keep the path. I don't think it's for path. I think it's to stop the face rotating. And I don't know if you've seen it, Bubsy, or got anything to add to that, but that's what I think it is.
No, I've not seen it, and I'll be honest, I'm trying to picture what you're explaining, and I can't really see it. Is it like a rail almost that sits underneath the shaft?
No, yes, you got it. It sits like 8 inches up the shaft.
Yeah.
I've seen it from a distance. Say it's 6-7 inches up the shaft. And it's actually two alignment sticks that create a very narrow channel, and then the putter goes in that. The only bit that threw me off is actually was hitting putts on the one I saw against like the stanchion of the frame, which I don't love that. I always think with the training aid, you should try and bring a hole into play, because if you can hit it in the hole, it reinforces the sound, the feel, and the visual of the thing going in. But look, at the end of the day, when do I putt great? When I'm putting well on putting plates. And putting plates are hard. And I'm not amazing at whacking balls through gates. And you wonder why you're putting these days, and up. But I don't think I've ever been great at hitting balls through gates. But if you remember back in the day, Daryl, we used to have in the house when we were sharing, living together, we would have that Yes putting rail, the Harrington putting rail. I was never great at that either, but I was always a great putter. And I think that you just got to know your tendencies. And I think that these start lines and start gates and all these training aids, they only get tougher, and I'm a big advocate for this, as you play on quicker, more slopey greens. I think in England, we used to play on some trash greens, and I don't think it's as important because the greens are slow. It doesn't break as much. I actually think it's easier to put on shitty greens, and I think because you can blame the shitty greens. Over here, greens are pure, greens swing and break a lot more. You got to hit your start lines. And now I think it's come off to the chipping as well. You've got to hit your land spots, and I think it reveals your short game. So we bring it full loop back to Akshay. To do that and to do it on those greens that were burnt out and screwed, mate, different gravy.
I know. And he shot 5 under back 9, I think, in regulation play, because Berger had a decent lead, actually. And we should give a shout out to him because he's been away from the game for a long time, actually, with, I think, a few injuries. He's also looks like he's changed his swing quite a bit, but I certainly haven't seen him, in and around the leaderboard for a long time. So it's good to see him back because he's a good player. He'll be a bit frustrated because he had a decent lead. He shot under par. I think one day he shot level par 70, but actually came and won it and then actually went to a playoff. And Berger missed the fairway on the last in regulation play, managed to make his par to get into a playoff, but then he missed the fairway again in the playoff hole. And like that hole, with where that flag is and how that hole's positioned, at some point on that hole, you've got to hit a golf shot, whether it's from the fairway that you're taking that flag on, or whether you play safe and you leave yourself at 80 feet. At some point, you've got to hit a golf shot. And when you're missing the fairway, just put a lot of pressure on him. He managed to get it done in regulation play. And say in the playoff, he couldn't go anywhere near the flag. He played it front left. Good shot from the left rough, really, but I think he would have had 100 odd feet. And it got me thinking, actually, and it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on this, Dazzler. He was in the left rough and he was kind of thinking of weighing up his options. And that hole, it's a big swinging green, flag's back right. He had no chance of going for the flag, but he had a few options. He could have laid it into the fairway. He could have hit it into one of the traps on the left, or he could have tried to squeeze it onto the front of the green. And he chose to try and squeeze it onto the front of the green. We can hear the conversation with his caddy, and he hit a good shot. Great shot. Out the rough. I think he had like 212, bounces short, rolls up onto the green. But he's left, I might have been underestimated. It might have been 120 feet. And I'm just thinking, you're a tour player. You're a really high elite tour player, but how many times are you hitting 120 feet putts? Is it not a better option to go, and this goes against a little bit what I've said before, because theoretically, the best plan is always to get it as close to the flag as you can. But I just think if he'd have left that in the fairway 50 yards away and he's pitching from 50 yards, I'd have given him a decent chance to get that up and down. But how many times is he hitting 120-foot putts? It's a tough shot to hit.
Well, I kind of wonder, I don't know what the stats would be or anything like that, but I wonder if his chances of holing out from that range for an eagle would be better than pitching in from a longer distance away. I don't know the answer to that, but that may have crossed his mind. I also think that had that shot, which I did see that the highlight of that shot, had that shot jumped up even further and maybe went on another, 10 yards or so, it could have been a very, very, very different putt, a much more makeable putt. So I think he was probably playing, I'm speculating completely, but I feel like he's probably trying to play those percentages to absolutely eliminate a bogey first and foremost, and then looking at, well, what's my likelihood of holding out from 120 feet versus, maybe an 80, 90 yard pitch shot into the green.
So it says here that a 50-yard pitch shot, the PGA Tour average is 16.5 feet, 5.5 yards, and 120 foot, so a 40-yard stream lag putt is 6 to 10 foot radius.
So there you go.
So still better from putting.
So the data suggests that he made the right call.
Yeah.
It just so happened that he got beat. It's not like he played a bad strategy or executed it poorly. Yeah. I think he just got outplayed on the last hole.
His error was missing the fairway. On that hole, you missed the fairway and your hands are tied. You literally...
It snarls you.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think that, unless it's a unique situation, the closer you can get it to the flag, generally the better. Just got me thinking, really. He's played and left himself a putt, which I'm like, when was the last time you hit a 120-foot putt? To try and
it goes on to say it's an extreme lag putt. It's extremely rare. It actually says that you've got a 1 in 10... So there you go, 3-putt probability, 50-50 at roughly 120 feet. 3-putt risk, 73 feet, there is already a 1 in 3 chance of 3-putting. 40 feet, there is a 1 in 10 chance of 3-putt exists. 25 feet, most pros only make about 5% of putts from 25 feet and beyond. It's not looking good.
What is the percentage out of interest of players from, let's call it a 70-yard pitch shot, that actually get up and down? So 2 shots versus 3 shots from that distance.
Yeah.
I'd be quite interested to know that, because I think that has a bit of a bearing as to see. It's easy for us to say now, given the circumstance of what played out, but in the heat of battle, you might not be thinking about it to that sort of granular level. But I think it'd be quite an interesting tell to, even for amateur golfers out there when they're thinking about, I'll lay up here. Well, maybe you shouldn't lay up. Maybe you should
70
just try
yard
and get
a
yourself
70
close.
yard pitch shot, generally up and down rate is 60%, exceeding 60%. For the distance, pros typically use a 54-58 wedge with a controlled accelerating 3/4 swing, often aiming for the ball to land within 15 to 10 feet of the hole.
That didn't sound like you read that at all. That sounded really natural.
No, I'm reading it. I'm reading it, you bell.
I know, yeah. Calm down. Keep your air on.
On this Akshay stuff, do you know that's his third win in a playoff? So that's 3 play. He's obviously got some minerals on him.
Yeah,
He does, yeah.
yeah. He came. Was it the Pebble Beach early this year when he was in there the last round and he kind of fell away? So he's been playing good. Really, I like him as a player. I mean, you know, he's obviously a lefty. Not many lefties out there. He's taken up the mantle after Mickelson. But yeah, 3 wins and he's 24, I think. So, you know, three wins on the PGA Tour at 24 and, like you're saying, playoffs. He's obviously got something about him.
He enjoys a bit
19
of
in the world rankings.
He enjoys a bit of online abuse, I've seen, for his joggers and stuff. I don't appreciate it myself, but he gets a bit of stick, which puts him in my camp.
I also...
He's my guy right there.
I disagree with these as well, but it's always going to happen. I've already seen 2 posts, not original, people have shared them. Like, people, like, you can have an opinion, and I'm okay with that, but I think people need to realize it is an opinion. And these 2 posts that I saw were people talking as if it was fact, and it was something along the lines of, when are we going to ban this cheating? Clearly anchoring. And I just don't think you can say that. You can have your opinion, but when you've got clothes and, you know, I mean, like, you know, if Trotty's got those clothes on he had in the Tyler May video, those clothes could be cut from his body when he's bent over the ball. Just because on camera, you know, your thumb looks if it's touching your shirt, it doesn't mean it's anchored, does it? And I find it hard to take those posts where people are speaking like it's facts when there's really only one person that knows. And, like, you've got to trust the integrity of this game. If he says he's not anchoring, he's not anchoring.
I also think that option to use the long putter is available to everybody. So, yes. You know, those are just people that are either jealous, misinformed, or just looking for clickbait material. It's a classic case of move on, really, for me. Yeah.
I love the whole, like, you can hold a putter however you want to hold it camp. I think it's brilliant. I think you've got to find out. It's, you know, everyone goes on their own journey with it. I think there are people that do get, I don't think Akshay's got the yips. I think there are people who do get the yips, and this extends their fun having golf at an amateur level. I mean, this, again, the golf club I'm at, it's got to be 10% of the members on long putters. So you want those guys just to struggle and quit. It's like...
I think it's changed, isn't it? You know, you only got to go back, I don't know, five years or so, and it kind of felt like you would go out there and you'd do your whatever, you'd start putting, and if you struggled, you'd look for another option. You'd look for the broom handle or something. I don't see that now. Like, my guess would be he's been broom handling that thing for as long as he's played this golf at a high level. So I think you're going to see more kind of kids or youngsters coming through who are broom handle, who are different methods, whereas it always used to be, you know, if you were struggling, you try it. I don't think that's the case now.
No, he came out on tour with a shorty, and he missed a lot. Yeah. Right. And I think what's happened, mate, is it's gone from Sam Torrance, Bernard Langer, and there was a guy in the States, old school, that's going to annoy me, that used a broom.
Scott McCarron?
I want to say Bruce Litsky. I want to go back.
Wow.
So you've got, like, they're the first 2 are definitely the names in Europe that we all remember, Torrance and Langer, right? Then what happened was, and no disrespect to Torrance or Langer, but they were slightly older blokes using those putters. All of a sudden, you get the guy with a lot of swag, whether it's deliberate or not, but Adam Scott using one of these things. And then, you know, Lab put pretty colours on it. He has different shapes. There's a story to it. Then all of a sudden, Lucas Glover, who's also highly regarded. I mean, a strong bloke, hits it great. It's not like he's not, well, he doesn't look old, does he? He's older, but he doesn't seem old. And you're like, well, hang on a minute. If he can do it and Adam Scott can do it, then maybe I can give it a go. And I think that where it goes a bit funky, and I don't think there's a rule issue with this, because I agree with what both of you said. I think you got to understand, like, Adam Scott uses it middle of his chest, and Lucas is the same, and they can get into that thing. Whereas the old school ones are right up against the chin. And I think that they shouldn't be played right up against the chin. I think that if they're played more middle of the chest, which what actually he's trying to do, to your point, it's just the clothes hang off the lad because there's not a lot of meat on him. And I think that I don't know if he is anchoring. And I don't actually think that I've never anchored one of them because I've got one, but it's a lot shorter. It's not possible to anchor it. I don't know if anchoring would help. I mean, I remember the belly putter. I hated that thing. I couldn't use that. And I had to go with it. I never bought one. I had to go with a couple of them. I got an arm lock. I got a broomstick now, which is a short broomstick. But it's like, I don't think... I think it's a method you've got to learn. And I think if you learn to putt with it, and to your point, Daryl, if it's better, everyone have a go at it then. If you're all bitching about it, have a go at it. And you try and make... Because the thing is, they weigh so much. Like my one's over 450 grams. I think it's hard to hit 70-foot putts with it. And when your approach plays as crap as mine, you got a lot of 70-footers. So it's like, good luck at two whacking from 70 feet with that. I hit a putt the other day with it, right? Hit a nice shot into a par 3. I duffed the putt. I caught the ground an inch before the freaking ball. I had 7 feet up the hill short to make it for par. I hit a nice iron in. I had 7 foot for par. I was like, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? You walk into the next hole going, I look a dick with this thing and I've just left it 7 feet short. And I had to repair the divot on the green. Beauty. Everyone can learn it though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if the rules are there and it's available to everyone, just crack on. Like, it is what it is. I don't think I will ever. You should never say never, granted, but I don't feel like I'll be the kind of guy that would go and warm to a broom handle putter. I've tried it many times. It doesn't feel natural enough to me, and I just like putting with a really small putter. Perfect, and I seem to do reasonably okay with that on the hole. That's kind of.
But I think, you're just playing like casual-ish golf. You don't go.
Yeah, I'm not competitive with it. I don't play a lot. Yeah. I mean, so long as I'm deadly in the Sims here in the office, I'm golden.
Yeah. Imagine though, if you were like just missing a lot of putts. And then you start diving into the data platform and you realize you're missing a lot of putts. What are you going to do?
Well, I got to say, like, I'm watching Lloyd. So Lloyd, we all know Lloyd, lovable rogue that he is. So what he does, he lives miles away from the office, and he would then come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So he stays over on Monday night and Tuesday night. But what he does is that he leaves home, crack a sparrows on the Monday morning, gets into the office for like 6:30 in the morning, and then he plays golf in the Sims for 2 hours. Now, so he plays quite a lot, and he does this every day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because he just loves golf that much. Like, he's so into it, which is great. You know, anytime we have a new client on board and they've got a golf product, we just get Lloyd to test it, and he'll verify whether it's good or bad or ugly or whatever the case is in between. But in his case, and I'm singling him out a little bit, but he goes down the rabbit hole so deep. So one thing goes off, and all of a sudden he's given me every possible explanation as to why this and why that. And I feel like I'm forever telling him, mate, you got to make it more simple. You're making it so complicated. Everything you do, you're making it hard, even down to the way that he's putting in the sim. And I'm like, mate, every detail, just simplify it all down so you don't have to use all that energy thinking about it. So I guess where I'm trying to go to a little bit by narrating that, and obviously singling out my boy Lloyd, is when I think about a broom handle putter for me, I feel like I've got 3,000 things going in my mind to be able to make that stroke, that there's no chance I'm going to be able to feel and see and read the line. So why get in my way if I just don't play that much golf? And then on the other side, if you play a lot of golf, the skill, and I think about this in business, we've been saying this in the office quite a lot recently, like a skill in business is the same skill in golf, where it's actually about keeping things simple. Complexity is so easy to add. We can make things as hard as we want to make them, but actually the skill is in the simplicity. And the more you can remove all of that, the better at all golf shots you become. That's just 100%. How I look at it.
Which is why the greatest training aid really is an alignment stick and setup. Because I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but I was at a tour event and a piece of wood turned up on the green, a 2x4, with a bunch of Sharpie markings on the 2x4. I was at a PGA freaking tour event. I'm looking at this piece of wood, and it's Xander Schauffele's. And he basically uses it, and it's got all these markings in, like driver, and it's ball positions when he's playing well, and it's distance from the golf ball when he's playing well. So he would move this plank around. And I spoke to his old mate. It was years ago. His old man was teaching him. I said, what are you doing with that thing? Oh, we just calibrate him when he's playing well. This is what we do. And when he's not playing well, we get him on this. And I was like, that's actually genius, because I spend hours dicking around and it's not needed.
I think that, I say this to the people I work with. And I think one of the biggest differences, and I call it keeping your hands on the wheel. They are keeping their hands on the wheel. So, if someone like Xander, he's going to the range and he's got this 2x4 down there and he's checking his stance, it might not be because his stance has got too narrow or too wide, but it might just be building good habits so that it never gets too narrow or too wide. Whereas your amateur will go for a lesson or get some advice and the coach says, your setup and your posture is good. And they kind of go, right, brilliant. I can forget that now for 6 months. And then they go for another lesson in 6 months' time. And the coach says, like, your setup's all out of whack. And they go, like, what do you mean it's all out of whack? It was great 6 months ago. It's like, if you take your hands off the wheel, you'll drift. And a lot of what good players do when I see them is they have things in place. They have practice methods or a structured way of practicing, which keeps the hands on the wheel and stops them drifting. And that's what good players do.
And you can tell that straight away. I think there's a lot to be learned when you see some of these interviews with these top talent. And they start talking about some of their major successes, and you really see it like almost in the early stages of retirement, when they're a lot more open and transparent about their career. They keep everything simple. They always say, I work on the fundamentals, I work on the basics, it's repetition. Everything was about the act of being disciplined and the act of a process, but all of those processes are all simple, whether it's using alignment sticks, whether it's stance related, whether it's a psychological thing. You know what it's like. We all have our unique signature swings. Bubs, you can make as many changes as you want to make in your golf swing, but it will still have a signature that looks the same from 20 years ago, same as you, Trotty, same as me. So it means that we're just fighting the same old habits year after year after year. So when it comes to putting, when it comes to anything, I just think, just focus on the fundamentals, keep it, less complicated, and you'll be more successful. This whole last 5 minutes, by the way, is solely aimed at Lloyd. Just so you know, Lloyd, make it simple.
I think it's not you said the only thing I'd add is you said you're fighting things. You're not fighting things. You're managing tendencies.
Yeah, that's probably
the better you get at golf, you manage tendencies, and then
because you don't. But you get to a point where you're not even thinking. You're just hitting the shot.
But it's hard to get there, mate. And I've obviously quit for a long time, slowly coming back, and the left-right miss is almost equal. That's terrible. I played the other day, 100% miss off the tee was to the right. That's fantastic. That's I can freaking play golf with that. So then all you do is you stop aiming down the right, you get your alignment stick out, you start aiming down the middle, you start hitting it down the middle. You're like, well, hang on a minute, this is progress. This is a mediocre round of golf that's progress. So
believe it or not, we're 43 minutes deep into this podcast, and we did have a topic that we were going to cover.
A whole other topic.
So we're we've not even got anywhere near that. So should we dive into that? I mean, we can give that a good
go on.
20 minutes.
You explain it all out, Bubs, because I think you know exactly how you want to articulate that. So let's see where you end up.
This main topic, which is starting at 85% into the podcast, is what the three of us would consider our kind of non-negotiables to playing good golf. So not playing good golf Saturday or Sunday, but it's now March. For a lot of people listening to this, they'll be just kind of entering into the golfing season. The weather's getting a bit warmer, the course is getting a bit better, and you kind of look, we're all golf mad here. We love the game. We want to play great golf. So I want to touch on kind of what the three of us would consider as non-negotiables that you kind of have to do if you want to look back at this season and go, I did the right things to play my best golf. And obviously, Trotty can come at it a little bit more from an equipment standpoint. I can come at it a little bit more from a coaching standpoint. Dazza can sort of bridge the gap and maybe come at it from a slightly different viewpoint. But, we can waste a lot of time, spend a lot of money, put a lot of effort into things that don't actually move the needle. And we don't really need to massively go down the cost of these things. But the loose idea was £500 or bucks, if you want to do bucks, $500 to spend. What would you spend it on? What are your non-negotiables? Let's start with Dazzler.
I think based on, because I don't play anywhere near as much golf as I used to, but I tell you where I think I'm reasonably okay is you need to know exactly how far you hit each club. That's it. So if you know how far each club goes, you got half a chance. Then you're also able to then make some solid predictions as to what would happen if it's into the wind, if it's a cold day, if it's a hot day, whether you're at altitude, not altitude. You can make better assumptions if you know what your baseline carry distance is for every club. So I think $500, I would almost say over a period of a year, so let's call it one session a quarter, I would just spend that money getting access to a launch monitor where you can then verify and check your distances with each club. That's what I would do.
As
I
you've
think
only
I'd just
got
keep it really simple.
as you've only got $500, will you give all the listeners a discount to buy a full swing kit for $500?
Well, I didn't say you could buy the launch monitor, did I? I said you could get access to a launch monitor. Visit your local PJ Pro who may have a full swing launch monitor and go and test one there.
Yeah, you got to know your yards, don't you? There's no, it's like yeah, it's granted that the PJ Tour pros know the yardage, but most golfers don't. You know, I see it all the time when I go on the course with people. You know, par 3, 172, what you're hitting, 7-9. Yeah, no chance.
Yeah, I just think, because I think if you know what your baseline distances is, you can make better assumptions out the rough. If you're downhill, uphill, you know, you can use it as a better reference. I think where people go wrong is they make the assumption that you should all hit a 7-9, 150 yards, for example. I'm talking about amateur golfers here, and that's what they think their distance is. Well, it might be if it's downhill and slightly downwind, but what happens if it's into the wind? You have to be able to adjust and pivot accordingly. And you need to know that that 7-9 can go 130 yards and it can go 170 yards, just given the circumstances. So once you know those circumstances, then you can make better informed strategic decisions on the golf course. That's what I think. Again, keep it simple. Just know the distance. That's it. One job.
I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? But we're talking about non-negotiables, and it's obvious, but it's a non-negotiable. You need to know how far those clubs go.
How many times do you see it? You play golf with an amateur, and it's like a 190 carry over water, for example, and they're pulling out like a 5-iron, and I'm going, mate, you can't carry the 5-iron 150. And then you got me, and I'm going 190. I don't hit the ball very far at all. I'm thinking, is this three-wheel driver? Lay up.
I think it changes with your wedges, though, Bubsy. I don't know if you've seen this. Again, I don't know if it's golf in California, but land spots are important. And wedges are... There's been a lot of warm wind recently here coming off the land. And I think wedges are basically... They fly different distances, so I think you have to keep on top of your yardages.
Yeah. So what would be your advice then, Trotty? Someone's like want to play his golf this year, obviously coming in from an equipment standpoint, and obviously you've only got $500, so you can't say get a new driver or something. But is there anything you can do from a equipment standpoint that's kind of you just can't avoid it? You got to do it.
I think if people have been long term listening to this, the thing I would do, number one thing, is I'd get a data plan. So I'd get one of the data products. I'd do a bit of research as to which one I liked. Research I've done so far, I think Decade is great. I think it's quite Excel spreadsheety. I think there's ones that, but that's great, by the way. You just want the data. I think there are ones that are a bit more visual and user friendly, which is also great. Whatever you want, just track your data. And if that's even a wearable or a Sky Caddy thing or an Arcos, great, get it. Then actually what I would do, the clubs and all that, yeah, important, but you've only got $500. So I would, let's assume your average golf lesson time with a pro is $150 an hour. That's a good pro, $150 an hour. And that's a kind of a fair price, I think. I mean, you could pay more, you could pay less. But if someone's charging $150, they're probably okay. I'd find a pro who can half play but teaches. I don't know what you charge, Bubsy, but much like yourself. But I'd try and do it in person. And then I would go buy the data program in January. If you're living in SoCal, you can use that January, February, early March, lesson early March. So now, let's say the data program is freaking 200 for the year. Now you're up to 350. Early March lesson, take notes on your phone, pen and paper, whatever you want, film the lesson. Then I would go April, May, June lesson, and I'd bin it then until the end of the season. So I'd do one mid-season, and I have some goals, and I'd constantly evaluate what I'm doing on my data. Because if I've only got $500, then that's that. Now, equipment-wise, are there things that I absolutely do? Well, I'd love for you to have fresh grips, because that's your contact point with the golf club. The same golf ball, of course I would. Fresh wedges, loft and lie check. Make sure all the clubs are dialed. Get a new drive. You can't do that. You're $500. So let's just kick off. If you've done the launch monitor thing, let's kick off with tracking the data, because when you get into your next year, that's then going to show you some stuff about then, because you've got a baseline then. You know what I mean?
Mm. I also think that, like you say, I got on my list because I guess that's a little bit of a crossover, but I'd put, some sort of tracking app to track your performance on the golf course. And as you said, then if you can play in a place of the world like where you are, where you can get out there January, February, March, you might not have the most data, because when you're tracking data, the more data you have, the more valuable it is. But if you can go for that, I think you said a first lesson in March, if you can go for that lesson in March and present some of that data, like that coach is loving you. If you can rock up to a lesson and say, look, this is where I want to get to, this is where I currently am, it's so much easier for them to put a plan in place, based on what you're currently doing.
Yeah, I think, Bubs, the other app, I think, depending on what standard of golfer you are as well. So the Swing Coach app, that's a pretty good one for like a supervised practice environment, right? So if you can get all of that knowledge under your belt, and then you start to use a Swing Coach app, then you're in a pretty good solid place there to be able to monitor and keep an eye on the performance of your game, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was on my list. I've got three things. Because like Troy was saying, there's a load of things you can do. Just going on ahead there.
Stealing your thunder, aren't we? That's all we're doing.
It's limited. And I think the first thing I would do, and we've kind of phrased this as, you want to play better golf this year. So to me, if you want to play better golf, that means that you're going to end up in a place which is different from where you are now. So you're on a journey. You're starting at a level, and you want to get somewhere else. And to me, that is a journey. And like any journey, if I'm going to jump in my car today and I'm going to drive to Daryl's house, and I've never been to Daryl's house, I can't just jump in the car and start driving, because I might head in the wrong direction, or it might look the right direction, but turns out to be the wrong direction. So the first thing I'm going to do before I jump in that car is I'm going to get a plan as to which way I need to go. So the first thing I would do is, as Trotty said, seek out a good pro, whether that's someone who word of mouth is good or someone's got a good reputation, and just lay it out with them. Say, look, I want to play good golf. How do I need to do that? And they can give you this blueprint or this pathway that's going to help you get there. And that might not be fixing you at that lesson, but it's giving you the pathway to get better. Now, if you think about that journey, these two have got a little private joke on the go here, so I don't know what they're laughing in the background. This is my segment, boys. Pipe down.
Keep going.
So you think about that journey, and if I'm trying to get to like a local shop, right, in my car, I speak to someone, they go, right, turn left on there. So if your ambition is to get a tiny bit better, one lesson can do that. But if you want to get significantly better, the pro might say to you, okay, I can get you to your destination, but there's no point me giving you all the directions now, because you're going to forget all those as we go on. So what you need to do is you need to go for a lesson. They need to give you the first steps, and then you need to rebook with that coach 2-3 times. But away from that lesson, if you've been given information, whether it's about your posture or your swing, your delivery, your impact, wherever it may be, you need some way of tracking that in practice. So for me, if you want to get better and you want to make your golf swing better, a non-negotiable is getting a golf lesson. A second non-negotiable, which is really cheap, get a tripod, something you can pop your phone on. Non-negotiable number 3 is get the Swing Coach app, because that is the app which can basically give you real-time feedback on the things that you're working on. So if your coach says your head's drifting off the board in the backswing, fine. Your coach is going to tell you how to work on it, going to give you some drills. Brilliant. You've got your blueprint, you've got your directions. What you now need to do, pop your phone in a tripod, get the Swing Coach app on, ask it to look for your head. And every time you make a golf swing, it'll tell you whether your head stayed in position, whether it drifted, whether it stayed in. So now you've got clear direction as to where you're trying to go. You've got clear direction as to how you're going to go down that path. And you've got feedback as to how you're going to do it. Now you start to create this little circle of lesson, understanding where you're trying to go, practice. You do that for a few months, you go back and see your pro, you start again. So for me, 3 non-negotiables: golf lesson to begin with, tripod, and the swing coach app.
So that app then sounds a little different to some of the other AI apps. You can actually track the positions that it directs you to use.
So it will measure pretty much anything you want it to measure. And you can literally just make a golf swing and have a look at the list, and it'll tell you what's what. Briscoe, who's developed it, he's an amateur golfer, and what he's done, which is I think its biggest selling point, is this thing is so clever and it can do so much and it can measure so many different things, and he keeps everything really simple. So he can measure angles, he can measure degrees, he can measure inches and centimeters. He doesn't. He just basically says, let's say your head is lifting in the backswing. If it doesn't lift, it's a 0. If it lifts a whole lot, it's 10. And it just rates it between 1 and 10. So what you can then do is you can go in and you can select the things that it's talking to you about. So for example, one of the things I do is I get it inside early in the takeaway. So what I can do is I can stick the phone down the line, I can stick takeaway on, and I'll literally hit a shot. And as soon as I've hit that shot, the app will just speak to me and say, your takeaway is 5 inside. And then I can make another golf swing and it'll say takeaway is 3 inside. I'll make another golf swing, it'll be takeaway is 1 inside. And I can just work and work, and I don't have to go back to my phone. I don't have to do anything to the phone. It's just going to keep rolling. When I've hit 10, 15 balls and I'm starting to get the right feels for what creates the takeaway that I want, when I do go back to my phone, all those swings are logged in terms of videos and where the club is, and I can stop it and look at it. It is absolutely brilliant for just feedback when you're practicing. But what I would say is that my advice would be get the swing coach app, but get a lesson so you know what elements or what parameters you're looking for before you dive into that. Now, it will give you some advice, but it's so powerful for working on your golf swing.
What's amazing is, just listening to all of our responses, how much of it is related to like some form of data and data capture, and the simplicity. If you're just able to do those 2 things, you've probably got half a chance of getting better at golf. No matter what standard of golfer you are, whether you're fairly new to the game or a pretty skilled player, just focusing on those 2 things, you got half a chance, honestly.
But nothing's changed.
But it's amazing how many people don't do it.
Nothing's changed. When I first started the game, data was looking at ball flight, looking at the divot, and then having an alignment stick down eventually, which was a club, by the way. It wasn't an alignment stick. You threw a club on the ground, you looked at ball flight, and you looked at divots. Then it turned into video analysis. Then it turned into V1, drawing on the video, because the first video analysis was tape, camera. We all know that story, McD.
No, we don't.
We all know that fishing trip story, McD.
Yeah, not everyone knows the fishing trip story, just me and Bryn.
Then it was camera, and it was VHS. Then it was V1. Then it was launch monitor. Then, or now, where we're going now is technology is doing the AI piece, and you can measure it all like Bubsy's talking about.
Let me ask you this then. Let's have you can expand on it a little bit, but a short answer. Dazzler, you got to work on your own game and get it as good as you can this year. Same for you, Trotty. You can have your phone with video, or you can have a kit launch monitor. What are you taking?
Well, that's easy because the kit's got a video in it. You'd be an idiot if you didn't take the
kit. Yeah, there you go. Kit launch monitor, job done. To be honest, without the camera, I would go for the launch monitor because I just want to know what my yardages are all the time.
I agree.
Like, I'm not going to change my swing, so I have no intention of making any fundamental swing changes. So for me, it's less relevant. Knowing how far I hit it, that's the only thing that's important to me.
Yeah. I think if you gave someone a video camera, like a regular golfer, they can video their golf swing, it's not that difficult to look at your golf swing, put it up against Adam Scott and go, that's different, that's different, that's different, that's different. That's not hard. The skill is knowing what to change. Whereas if you gave someone a launch monitor, only a launch monitor, they look at the data and they go, okay, club path is out to him by 7 degrees. They would roughly know what that looks like in terms of what the club's doing to the ball. They don't really need to know what the swing looks like, but they need to know, do you know what? I might just shift my aim a little bit more to the right or something. So I think, like obviously the 2 together are super powerful, but I think if you just got the data, you can get to the end destination better, quicker.
Yeah, I think so. Right, boys. this wrap up time.
We got to finish with whether we think Rory's going to play this week.
Oh yeah, he's got a dodgy back, isn't he? Fatty's legged his back.
WD.
He's playing. He'll play.
Yeah, I think he'll play as well. I think there's a small chance that he may withdraw during the tournament, but I think he'll play. What do you think? You seem a bit unsure there, Bubs.
I just think that. I mean, look, it depends what it is. I don't think it was that bad because he actually turned up a Bay Hill. He was on the range. It's not as if he was, straight to the physio. So he was on the range. He obviously pulled out. I just think with Masters, that's a bigger tournament for him, obviously, than the Players. So not that far away. So I don't know. I just think depends what the injury is. But I think if there's any chance that he could do any more damage, he'll WD.
I think that's the exact answer right there. And there could be some stuff behind the scenes as to why he pulled out. There's nothing to do with his back at all. He just said his back's hurting him. There could be something that we don't know about.
Conspiracy theorist.
It could be like something, his little girl's maybe sick or something. And he's just like, screw it, I want to go home. Cool.
Maybe him and John Rahm have had a dust up, maybe. Who knows? We go in there, no.
Maybe he's starting to live.
Maybe he signed it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's getting ready to go. Jumping ship.
There's no way.
You heard it on the Dope Stroke podcast first.
There's no
Rory
way.
McIlroy's off.
There's no way he'd announce that with like 4 weeks to go, 5 weeks to go for the
No
Masters.
chance. Well, I don't think that's happening anyway. I'd be amazed if that happened now. So, where do you want to go to from your boys? Wrap up?
Yeah, I think we're done.
I think we need to wrap up here, guys. We're going to be all together next week. Is it next week or the week after, actually? So the week after next, we're all together. So we are definitely going to be doing 1 or 2 episodes while we're in the same space together. But until then, we shall see everybody and hear everybody next week. See you then. Welcome. Not welcome. Goodbye to the Dope Stroke podcast show today.